to work than it used to be before. So we also have Achal here. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. So, my name is Achal. I am currently pursuing my PhD in physics, and of course, in this research aspect, it's a very challenging thing. And usually, whenever people are in science backgrounds or related to science, usually we do not see spirituality as something that goes along with it, no? But for me, the journey has been really transformative in some sense, and we get to look at the fineness of that spirituality can introduce us to. Sometimes we are blind to, or we are just stuck at a very superficial level of things, of looking at things. But throughout the journey and throughout the practices, and of course various experiences, have just helped me recognize that there is certain power within all of us, and that we can just in the same way, science is not less than, I would say, magic, no? And if we go 60 years ago, 70 years ago, or maybe more, we could have never imagined communicating in a second from someone on the other end of the globe. But today that's a reality. So things which didn't seem possible at some point are now becoming possible. In the same way, I feel meditation and spiritual practices help us to look at these different aspects, which initially might feel that these are far off from our reach and maybe are not accessible at all. And we may even think that there is no use to it, there is no practical result of meditation and spiritual practices. But it's a journey, and the more we reflect on it, the more we take this journey towards inside. I've found that it really brings about transformation, not only just at an internal level, but then you also start appreciating the circumstances around us, the challenges we are facing throughout the day or throughout life in general, various choices that we have to make. A small, choices as small as whether, let's say you want to write something, you want to write it with a pencil or a pen. Very useless, no? It seems a very trivial choice. But also to big choices like which career do I choose? There are so many out there. Or what to do. There are so many options out there. So from these little things to bigger decisions, that's where I found meditation to be really helpful for me personally, and go through life in a smooth way. And smooth, I would not say, doesn't mean there are no bumps and there are no hills and valleys. Smooth just means you keep going and you maintain that appreciation and maintain that stage of acceptance and therefore happiness also. So that is what I have to say on this little bit.
Maybe you can show us a difference between science and spirituality and how it is helpful. Maybe share that, but you shared very beautifully. So for me, it was I was new in this country and started working at a school. I didn't really have all the skills. I don't know how I got the job. So I used to look at others and feel they have so many skills and they are compare that they're doing so much better, and I So used to always feel as if, I don't know how I'll cope up with everything, because it was initially it was just a learning experience for me going to work, like as a training. And then coming to knowledge, it felt so much of a difference, like using the knowledge and practically bringing it during work so this meditation was not just, what I learned was, it's not just sitting and meditating, but using it practically while walking and moving around, while you're doing everything, while you're in action, you are using, it's like a technique. And we use that technique in our mind, in our attitudes, and how changing myself, my mind, my thoughts, and my attitude, it felt like a huge difference. Of course, it was over a period of time, but I could feel that lightness going to work compared to what I was before, instead of judging self and having, of course, when you're working, there are differences with colleagues, and you have to answer like we have a director at school, so answer your director, and so all that, I think it became like a game. It became more fun, and it became like, I would say, like an experiment, like how I would use, for example, use a practical example of thinking positive and bringing in positivity, how that initially helped me bring positivity in the atmosphere, in myself, and really felt that lightness. And then going to work was like a play or like fun or something, like you're playing a game. It wasn't like a burden. So initially more, it was like a burden. Oh, I have to do this. Usually how our mind thinks is, oh, there's so much work to be done, this is what needs to be done, and then the next thought comes. This is what I need to finish, and then you're thinking of the result, and then you're planning what's going on. So this was constantly going on. But just the attitude, so what I used is the attitude of trustee. So a trustee is really doing everything, but someone else is responsible. So you give that, the result and the action, to the higher power, and you just do your best, and then leave the rest. So that attitude of surrender, that I am a trustee, and I'm just using this body to serve and to do my best over there. That brought a lot of change in my attitude. And now, after this many years, I can say that I just love going to work. It's, in the sense, it's like another experiment, that you're going there and you want to bring this change within yourself and others. Yeah, so I
Sister
think...
Pooja, I have a question.
Sure.
So you mentioned, this feeling of comparison that comes in, and then we start to judge ourselves when we find ourselves in competitive scenarios or in a competitive environment. And then you mentioned that you use the attitude of being a trustee, that trusteeship. Could you walk us through some, or would you like to share some experience where you were facing this comparison kind of feeling, and then how you invoked this feeling of being a trustee and how you use that to change that attitude?
Yes, sure. So initially it was always this, the feeling that I'm not good enough. Others have more skills, or some people have master degrees, and there was always comparison, like how it is between colleagues. So it's the inner mind was always judging self, that I should have done this, I should have got this degree, or this, whatever was done at work, it felt like I could do better always. So just comparing with your own effort as well, or the own result. I could do this better, or suppose we had to make analysis for a child. I could do better and present it in a better way. I should have put it in better words, or talk to a parent in a better. So there was always that pressure of doing the best, of being perfect, or of trying to prove to everyone around that I can really do good, especially coming into this country. Also judging oneself with just having an Indian accent. So that was the experience that I used to feel, oh, everyone has here an American accent, and I'm trying to speak in, or like put up that accent. And it felt like everything is such a burden. It felt like a pressure. It felt like this, what am I doing? I'm just, it wasn't, of course it wasn't fun, but it was burden, it was pressure, and it was tension, and all this was going on. And then at a point, I even felt that I don't think I can survive in this kind of work or environment. So the attitude of trusteeship completely took away the burden, but of course slowly. And every time the mind was judging the self or was trying to be perfect, the attitude was just, okay, surrender, whatever I can do, whatever skills I have, I do my best and I leave the rest. And I do it with honesty, with the feeling that I'm doing to help others, even the kids or the parents, and just surrender the reward or the result and not think of or compare with others or your own effort. So that brought a lot of lightness at work. And I think that lightness could be felt by others too. And then you start to feel more confident. So that's how I started to feel that, yeah, and others started to appreciate, but also not looking for that appreciation, again, surrendering that too. So again and again bringing, like as soon as I would walk to work, a minute of meditation or just the thought that everything I'm doing is for the best and everything is for everybody's benefit. That selfless love that I want to just give and I just want to help others. So that that attitude of benefiting everyone, I think changed everything. Instead of thinking selfishly that, oh, I want to prove myself and I want to do the best and I want to show everyone what I can do. And that completely changed the attitude. And I think just going to work feels so light. There's no tension. I mean, it does come sometimes, but you keep reminding, a good reminder to yourself. And yeah, it is more fun. It's not like, oh, I'm going to work, I have to work, these are the weekdays, this is the weekend. So yeah, it's just, you get to learn so much. I think I learned so much from the kids. Their innocence and their innocence and them being there, each one is teaching us so much. So I think that's what changed. And just this knowledge is like, I found it like magic. You just use it and immediately you get the result. So just keep using it and you'll keep seeing the magic. And it brings benefit to oneself. Forget about thinking of others. I felt so much at peace, so much love and harmony for the self. I started to appreciate the self. And I think that peace was so important. And no work is hard or no work is stressful. We just make it like that. And everything is possible. So yeah, I think now I feel like we actually put a stop or an obstacle in our own journey with the thoughts that we create. So that one thought kept changing all that, and it made a lot of difference, at least within self.
So what I could sense from that is, the way you were describing your experience. So it's not so much as wishing that the outside situation would change, or someone else would change, or the opinions and the various judgments that we sometimes receive from environments, from people sometimes higher in authorities, from us. So it's not so much as focusing our energy and attention to that, but rather turn it inwards and checking the self, that, oh, okay, this is what is popping up now. Okay, this is the feeling that I might want to transform or want to change. And this is very interesting, because the reason I asked about this judgment is because it's very easy, even in an academic setting, to judge. You see students around you with so many qualifications, and it's really competitive out there. And for me, coming from a background where we're always kind of pressurized, I would say, too strong a word, but I think it's the right word, to perform good, to be the best, to get good grades all the time. Coming from that background, when you land in a more competitive environment, these feelings easily pop up. And then it's very difficult at times to tackle with those feelings, because on one end, it's like negating our own strengths and qualities, but at the same time also, it takes away the power to nurture the self. We just keep looking outside, our lenses towards outside all the time. And it might be very different for different people, but for me, at least, when I find myself in such scenarios, one of the tactics that I have found very useful for me, and I would say definitely it's coming from these meditation experiences, and we come up with our own ways to solve the problems. So one of the ways I like to deal in such situations is that I like to befriend someone whom I'm feeling, or I'm having these feelings towards. So let's say if there's a class of 30 students, and there are, let's say 2 or 3 students who I see are very responsive, they are participating, they are super talented, I like to, I tell my mind that, okay, no, that's just that's my brother, and he's just gifted with these talents and whatever, but is there something I can learn from this? That's one thing that helps me, first of all, lessen the feeling of being judgmental towards myself or pushing myself down. So at first, the one thought that I take is, okay, what can I learn from this? And not in a competitive way, not in a negative way, that, I learn and then I'll become the better one, and then, take be the star of the show or something like that. No, not in that sense. But just nurturing that feeling to learn something for the benefit. And if we can also, at least that's what I like to approach it with, is, can I befriend that? Can I befriend that person? Can I be friends with that? And maintain that relationship, maintain that healthy friendship across years. That's what has worked for me in a very practical way. And I would say this has been really helpful, at least so far, because, when you look back, when you have crossed that stage, that particular scene in your life, and when you look back at those instances, I feel that if we do not transform, these attitudes and these feelings, it's very easy to kind of look back and not even appreciate that time. We might not even, when we look back at situations, we might not even be able to come to a space inside the mind where we can appreciate the goodness or the opportunities we had at that time. Whereas when we are able to transform these feelings and our attitude towards situations, towards people, then even when we look back, we find, we cherish those memories. And then we find something good in that. We find them to be beneficial ultimately towards ourselves. Keeps us light in the long run. And also just, maintain that good relationship with the environment and with the people around us. That's what my experience has been, and that's why I was able to relate when you were saying that these feelings of judgment towards ourselves is comes
So
up.
you said you look at, in the way what I understood is you look at their qualities, you look at their specialities, and that's how you. So what attitude do you use, and how do you think of? You mean being friends with everybody. So what does that mean? In what context? And
Right. I can give an example right from my school days, actually. So, let's say there's a class of, I think, 50 students or something. And this was back when I was in 5th grade. And, of course, there are some students who are not performing so well on the exams or something like that. And a general perception is formed, towards certain people, towards certain students. And of course, when that perception takes over, then, that even though you deliberately do not create that thought, but sometimes the environment is so strong that unknowingly you are influenced by that perception. And then you don't take that step to even, let's say, initiate a conversation with someone. So when I face these situations, and I can at least now discern, okay, whether this is the perception that is trying to influence me, or is it really my thoughts that are trying to influence me. When it's my thoughts, then yes, then it's a bit difficult to change and transform, and then you have to take that effort to put in a small other thought. But when it's the perception, when it's the environment that is trying to influence, and once we're able to discern that, once that distinction is there, then it's much more easier, because then the onus is not on me. And then at least I can take that step of courage and approach that person. And I remember, for example, there were a few friends of mine. And so in the lunch break, we used to, play catch with the ball. And I used to appreciate that quality, they were so good at it. Like, I used to wonder, like, oh, okay. So, there's a very famous quote by, I think, Einstein as well. I don't exactly remember the quote, but if you judge the fish by its ability to climb a tree, you're always going to get negative results. Right? It's the same thing. So rather than looking at someone with one perception, with one perspective, can I appreciate some other quality? Okay, they might be weak in studies, but they might be good in sports, or they might be good in music, or they might be good in debating. So I like to turn my attention towards those specific qualities and then appreciate that and build my relationship with them on that basis.
yeah, so another experience that I wanted to share is also with colleagues. I work with actually 2 other colleagues in the same classroom. So there was one who was always late coming to work, and this was going on for, I guess, 2 years, and now this is the 3rd year. And the starting of the day was like, is she coming on time today? Will she be on time? Because when someone is not there, of course it's like 10 minutes or a little bit, but then if someone's not there, the work comes on you. And you feel like, why should you, technically, why everybody should be doing their work and not be late to work. So just the beginning of the day would start with, today will she be on time to work? And I started to notice that instead of focusing on my own work or focusing on doing good or on helping, there was more tension and stress, like, will she be on time? And again, that comparison. But again, I think learning in the spiritual journey, you start seeing everybody as their parts, and the difference that they are all these divine beings, and everybody is just carrying out their part. And each one is different. And then I thought, how can I change this attitude of me taking that stress that the other person should be there on time because I'm on time. Of course, bringing into, like, you talk to the director or bring it to the higher authorities, but nothing was being done. All that was already like put into. And just so that feeling was of, like, even, you know, that feeling was of jealousy or starting to have not dislike towards that person, that why that person is always late, or maybe you know, nothing is being done in that case. But then the knowledge and the meditation and just being yourself and being that peaceful being, and just looking at everybody as they are doing their parts, and seeing their specialities. Like, if she's late to work, fine, but she's so good with other things during the work period, which is so amazing. So this I started to see that in that person, and the outlook completely changed from seeing the defect of that one coming late, which nothing could be done right now, that now is changed to, okay, seeing their speciality and seeing that she has so many other qualities in her that is bringing benefit at work and for everybody else. I think, yeah, and just seeing that part, that everybody is playing their parts. And in the drama, this was written in my destiny, so just that acceptance brought so much compassion. And in fact, even like friendship, like you said, earlier it was kind of a dislike, but that changed to just compassion. And the relationship completely changed. And I think slowly it happened that it does not really affect this one. That, okay, this is how it is, and this is how I've accepted it, instead of worrying about it. And then solution was also brought in, that, okay, maybe she can stay after work a little bit more to help with other things. So when the mind is calm, when you're thinking clear, it becomes solution oriented. So then it just feels justified also. Yeah.
So one of the things you mentioned, sister, was about acceptance, right? And particularly when you said, you know, sometimes when we try to nurture this mindset that, okay, it wasn't my destiny, you know, sometimes this becomes also, takes us on a very different note, right? So could you elaborate a little bit more on, like, how you take in when you say, you know, okay, accept, and what do you really mean by acceptance in that context?
So acceptance means, of course, you do your part. I did go to the higher authority and did bring up that this one is always late. But looking at my own mindset, am I calm and peaceful in that situation? How is my inner, or am I disturbed? So just checking on yourself that this transformation is for me, and whatever, and there are so many things around us that we can't really change. And I could not really change it. Though, like I said, I went to the higher authorities, nothing was happening. So I could not really change anything. So I think in that kind of situation, and even thinking of like working in a different classroom or a different setup, but then there's always something with someone. So I think just bringing this attitude of acceptance, that everything else was so good about that person or speciality. And so when you see others' specialities, that's what starts to grow within yourself and within others. So seeing that one as just, the same truth that I am, this being and this energy, living energy who's using this body, and that one, so is that one. And so I think that brought a lot of change in my own mindset. And what we want is to be peaceful and happy. And that's what started to happen, even at work situation. Not like, okay, I'm at work, I'm different, and now I'm home, I'm different. So it's like, yeah, you're at work or you're doing any action, you're doing anything. The mind is at peace, you feel light, you feel happy, or you're just doing it without taking the stress, without taking any burden of the reward.
So acceptance would, in this context, what I'm getting from you is more towards ourselves first, and then towards the situations and the challenges outside.
Yes, everything starts with self. So they say, right, you change and then the world changes around you. So it all starts with self.
Right. Now I have a small thought. We have been talking about situations at our workplaces, and of course, that's the first thing that comes up, right, in our minds when we talk about work. But a thought that was just coming in was when we go back home, and when we are interacting with, let's say, family or friends, there's work too. From as simple as washing the dishes. So the brother is saying is very deep rooted, and that's even more difficult to deal with, right, at some times. And then this question about ego comes in. Sometimes we feel when we shift our perspective from our daily work routine, and then we go back home, and then we shift perspective and you take a bird's eye view, then sometimes work situation seems even more, okay, these are okay, we can handle it, at times. But then at home, and when we go back and interact with people, then that becomes even a greater challenge sometimes, right? And I say this because, for example, right now, I am also sharing my room with flatmates, and ego takes a toll. When it comes to doing daily chores sometimes, and it takes a huge toll sometimes. Sometimes this thought comes up: why should I always take care of a certain task? Why should I? Well, I did that, let's say, last week. Why should I do it this week again? Why doesn't someone else take up the responsibility? All these thoughts show up. And I can share one small experience with this very recently. So it was as simple as, let's say, keeping the bathroom clean, for example. And usually it's kind of and usually that's kind of set. We had kind of a mutual setting that, okay, usually this guy will do the bathroom, we'll do the living room, sometimes I'll do the bathroom, and that was going on. But when you're in a setting, and mostly your student life, we don't really like to take care about our surroundings that much. But I like to be very clean and maintain that space as it is as much as possible. So for the past month or so, they were not taking up the responsibility to clean the bathroom. And whenever I used to enter it, I used to have that thought, man, when are they going to do it? But then, I remembered something later on when I was reflecting on it. I remembered one of the things I like to see in myself. And I feel these are opportunities as well. These are not just challenges and not just situations where, okay, we have to, let's say, explain someone their roles and responsibilities, but see it as an opportunity. And how I saw in that situation was, I remembered, like, how do I want to see myself? And this ties in with the work I do as well, even in college, for example. So I've kind of had held that vision for a long time, and I would like to stick to it. Is that, okay, I want to do great in what I'm doing at work. For example, I do research, so I want to do good research. I want to publish in good peer-reviewed journals, for example. But at the same time, I want to instill in me that humility. And one of the thoughts that I've held for that is cleaning bathrooms. And when that thought came to me, I was like, this is an opportunity. Why am I creating negative thoughts for these people? Why did I only think, only specific bathrooms? Which are much cleaner to handle. So when that thought came in, that reflective state came in, and then I thought, that's an opportunity. And that day, and up till now, at least till today, I've never uttered a word about cleaning anything. I see it a little bit untidy, I go and clean myself. And not with the thought that, when are they going to do it? Today again. But, just with the feeling, just nurturing that thought that it's for me. It's an opportunity for me to instill how more humble can I be. How much can I nurture that humility inside me. That's what came to me, And so work is not just, I was having this thought that work is not just our work settings or our environments where we, not our jobs, it's also at home and maybe various other places.
Yes, so true. Like this knowledge, been studying this knowledge and still studying it for last 9 years, 10 years. And one amazing thing, what I learned in this knowledge, usually they say, okay, you're doing meditation, you have to sit and do, which I shared before also. But this is not just meditation while sitting. Of course, sitting meditation is good, but this is walking and moving around. So you're called karma yogis. And karma yogi means you're meditating or you're taking these pauses every hour, every half an hour. Just like it's called, so initially what we start doing is called traffic control. And that traffic control really helped me at least a lot. So every half an hour just taking this pause, just 1 minute. And that traffic control is for your mind, just like on the street. If there's traffic and there's no lights, there's no signal, or there's no red light, yellow light, so just think what will be the condition of the street. It'll be accidents, it'll be a chaos. So same thing, in our mind too, there are so many thoughts. We know the count of thoughts, like they've done a study, we have so innumerable thoughts going on. So while doing this traffic control, taking this pause, saying at least starting with every half an hour, 1 minute, and just going and saying stop, and just focusing on the true self, focusing on who am I really? Am I just this work that I'm doing? Am I just this, the job or the profession, the identity that is given to me? Am I just this name, this body? Or who am I really? So really focusing on the true self and bringing that traffic control and taking that pause and taking more and more pauses every now and then, even while you're working. Even if it's for 30 seconds, it brings a tremendous change in just, like even in half a day. And you will feel so light. You feel so, you feel light, as if you're just working, you're flying through your work. You're not taking the pressure again. It's just, you're doing your job, but it's not yours. It's not mine. I'm here as an instrument to do it, but it's not mine, so why I worry about it? Just like using a guitar, where the musician plays a guitar, and the guitar plays such beautiful music, but who's the one who's playing it? So this higher power is using me in the right way to do my job. Again, not my job. So not bringing that my into that picture. And taking this traffic control and reminding. So I think that brings in beautiful harmony at work and also lightness in your own attitude. And you will feel like, okay, it's not work now, it's just, I have to do this, I'm doing this through my using my hands, using my mind, and that's it. And it's done, and you don't even feel it's done. So yeah, taking that big pressure and burden off that I have to do it. But who's the real I? Checking on that.
I think that's a very beautiful way to put that. And when you were mentioning about the traffic control and the practice that we have to pause for a minute or two throughout the day, and exactly as you said, no, it came as a realization where we are trying to step out of the different identities that we have created. You know, you were mentioning about the identity we see ourselves through what we do most of the times, what professions we are in, or even more subtle, we see ourselves through the relationships that we have been inside. You know, for example, even brother, sister, mother, child, you know, or parent or child, teacher and student. You know, we have bound ourselves with so many identities, and the practice of traffic control actually is just like putting a red light to that and going back into that, reminding ourselves that who is it truly, who am I? And one image that we use is this point of light that you can see, and just to remind ourselves that, you know, we are this point of light, the sentient being, and we are full of virtues. So one of the things that stuck with me when I started practicing meditation was that usually we find people saying these expressions, no? Oh, we want to find peace. We want to find inner peace. Or we want to find power. We want to find knowledge. But what I realized, at least, and so far what has come up from my practices, is that we really don't have to find that much. Nor outside, neither inside. You know, it's more going back to that default stage. And so what we practice here is that rather than finding peace or finding power or finding happiness and bliss inside, so we are not even finding inside. Vocabulary that we use here is I am a peaceful being, and I am a happy being. I am a blissful being. So I think that is very powerful and enriching, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah, just that one thought, who am I really, I think brings about that shift. And that's the true self, because that's who I am, and that's what I like, and that's what I want to be, and that's my true nature, my innate quality, my birthright, to be peaceful. And when you believe in that, and when you see yourself as this one separate, this being separate from this part, this role, just like an actor plays a role and then finishes the role. And while playing the role also is aware that I'm just playing the role. For example, any actor, he knows that he's just playing and acting that role, but he's not that. And that role will somehow finish, and he will go back to what he is really. And so not getting involved. So imagine an actor playing the role of a criminal and starts thinking that I am the one who's the criminal, or I have these qualities. So he becomes that, and he starts to feel that. So I think, just being that actor. So there are so many methods that we can use. We can use trustee, an actor, a guest. All these helps us during different aspects of life, and it helps us really help us unidentify from this body. Because body is just like this machinery, and reminding yourself of your innate qualities. So, yeah, that shift, and just keeping that shift again and again, brings the magic.
Okay, so I think Sister Pooja and I have been kind of continuously sharing and talking and sharing our experiences, and I'm sure some of you might have gotten some insights or have been useful a little bit. But we would also like to hear from you, both in person and on Zoom. So if you have any thoughts you would like to share with us, your experiences or anything in general, any questions, you're more than welcome. You can take the mic.
We know judging other people is kind of bad, right? Yes, right? Judging other people is kind of bad, right? Try to work on it, but like I said, few qualities, whatever bad qualities we have are like so deep-rooted, we cannot like, it happens, like it's kind of natural. So how would spirituality can help us like with that? Like judging is like, being judgmental is kind of a big one for me. Sometimes you need to put people on their place. That's what I feel. Yeah, they cannot trample over me. I know, I love them, they are beautiful souls, peaceful soul. I know, they are all Baba's kid, right? But sometimes you have to deal with the situation. And how will I not lose my calm in that scenario? I know I try to stay detached as much as possible, but it's not 24/7. Yeah. So I feel like I'm being fake. Like it's not my natural sanskar. Yeah. So how will I deal with it? So to be more loveful towards them.
Right. Sister Pooja, would you like to?
So seeing I know the judgmental, we say it comes naturally, but that's actually not our natural true nature. When you see yourself that I am this being of peace, I am light, you naturally start to see this as a drama, as a game, that each one is playing their part. Like there are different actors, they are all playing their parts. And who am I to judge? Because they have a history and a story and their sanskars.
What if they belittle you? Who am I to judge? I'm being the nice one.
But that judgment is also bringing peaceless in me. So, okay. Well, so when you feel that you're right, so your question is how can you be more loving towards them? Even if you see. Right.
And you're making my life trouble, even at a workplace. Like you said, you are the only person who had to work extra. She was coming late. So, same kind of situation.
So I think just we have this power to accommodate, we have this power to adjust, and we do it with families, don't we? We have I have 3 members living together, and yeah, so the same way we are all equal, we are all these beings, and we all have the same quality and the same nature of being peaceful, loving, happy, joyful. So once you start to see beyond the role, because each one is working with their sanskars, but who are they really? I'm just seeing the costume, I'm just seeing the play and the drama, right? So, if I detach from the drama, or if I see beyond, they also like me. If I am a point of light, I am a peaceful being, so are they. And just that thought brings natural love for everybody. Not that, okay, this one is my mother and this one is my father and this one is my brother, so I accept them and I accommodate them and I am naturally loving to them. But with others I'm not. Because we all eventually are children of one God and one supreme soul. And we have different bodily parents, but we just have one father and one parent, you would say. All of us belong to one. And so when you see that if we all belong to one, we are all actually equal and we are all children and we are the same. So, and you also like seeing the specialities in that person maybe sometimes can help us not to be judgmental or to be more loving, your question was. So each one has so many specialities. So seeing that speciality, at least that one speciality that helps us accommodate, and I will be happy and loving towards them, and then if I'm emitting that energy, the same will come from there. But if I am emitting negative energy, and if I am not, I'm not talking about you, but I'm just saying, if I am having this attitude of like, for example, the person who was coming late, I would only see that defect and the whole day would go bad for me. At least that's what happened in my case, that all day I'm just, while she's in front of me, I would think, she's always late, I should do something. Mind was creating games and manipulations and tricks, and I wasn't at peace. And mind was creating, how should I bring that in front of everybody? How should she be, and it did try also. Mind in the sense that ego, that you know what, I am right, I come on time, and she's always 10 minutes late. And that's her nature, and she's doing it on purpose, though she's making all these excuses, and every day was a different excuse. I mean, but there was, in fact, when the mind started to see that, okay, nothing can be done now, and I'm not, why should I do this manipulation or games? I just leave it, and I just surrender. It started to see so many, like it brought so much harmony. And now we are 3 years together at work. So the first change, the first change was within me. Because my life became better, I was more peaceful, I started to calm down. And what happened was, in fact, things started to work better because she had to stay after work and finish certain things which came up. Yeah. Even if it didn't, I think now at a point, it doesn't matter because it feels like, okay, she has so many other skills that she's bringing to work. That's how the attitude started to work and see the positivity. So, before this, I was with another colleague and I had another problem with her. She didn't come late to work, but there was other issues she had. She was always criticizing, always insulting. So also seeing that every person we come across, there is something or the other. So I was like, what is the point of me changing that? And of course bringing it and then trying to say, okay, you know what, this is what I did 10 minutes, now you can finish the work and stay later. And that's how, and in fact, things started to happen more harmoniously and yeah, exactly.
Sometimes one image that I like to keep in mind is, what if we look ourselves from a doctor-patient perspective? Sometimes it's difficult, to when we are seeing the same behavior from someone or same pattern of habits from someone, then it gets difficult for us. But what if a patient who's really really sick comes in front of the doctor? Doctor won't criticize for their weaknesses or for their disease. They would just focus on the treatment.
Their perspective, they are showing my weaknesses.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm judging it. I have a quality of being judgmental. I need to work on that.
Yeah.
Right?
So absolutely.
Those people are kind of mirrors. So, like you said, you were at peace. You work on your bad quality, right?
Yeah.
And you were at peace after that. So
Okay.
this thing didn't bother me anymore. So I feel like I should do that.
I think there was a question on Zoom and there's something on the chat as well. So you can unmute and ask. Please feel free. I think someone had their hand raised a while ago. Okay, so if not, then we're out of time as usual. So let's close with a minute of meditation. Yeah. And the image we can keep with ourselves is that of holding a thought, just creating this thought that who am I truly. So you can take a comfortable posture wherever you may be. You might be sitting, lying. Just take a comfortable posture. Not too comfortable that we tend to fall asleep. Just comfortable enough. And you can rest your gaze on something in front of you. You have a point of light here. And just begin to experience the physical surroundings first. And the atmosphere, the temperature, the chair we might be sitting on. And let's start to turn inwards and look at the different processes of the body, the rhythm of breathing, lungs expanding as we inhale and contracting as we exhale. And now a further step inwards, looking on the screens of our minds. And realizing that I, the being, is the master of the mind. I have the power to create the thoughts and project those thoughts on the screens of the mind. As we come into this realization, let us create a thought for ourselves. I am a peaceful being. I am a blissful being. I am a happy being. And as we sow the seeds of these thoughts, let us also try to nurture these seeds throughout the day. And hold these thoughts whenever I'm interacting with people, with situations, with my environment, and come from a space of stability and power. Om Shanti. Thank you, everyone, once again for joining us. So every Thursday and Tuesdays we have these talk series. From 6 to 6:30 we have the meditation, and then from 6:30 to 7:30 we have the talks. And for those in person, we also might have something to sweeten the mouth. So look forward to that. Okay, have a good day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for joining.